Let's give Sacks some red meat here. Sacks, I'll give you a little red meat. You want Tucker on Twitter. Here's your red meat choices as we wrap. You want Tucker on Twitter. You want a Russian-controlled dam being destroyed for a major flood. Or do you want Chris Christie joining the race? Which red meat would you like? Which red meat we put in front of crazy hair?
Well, I mean, what's happening in Ukraine is really the big news this week.
Okay,
I mean,
we'll
the Ukrainian counteroffensive has started in earnest. And yes, in conjunction with that, you had the destruction of that major dam, which it's not clear who did it. I mean, both sides are pointing the finger at each other. So, and there are reasonable arguments for why either side may have done it. In terms of who benefits, it seems to benefit the Ukrainians more because the destruction of the dam washed out a bunch of Russian defensive fortifications and villages of Russian speakers. On the other hand, the Russians were in control of the dam, so it would have been easier for them to carry it out if they had wanted to. We just don't know. But I think, events have now moved beyond that, and we are now probably in the third or fourth day of the Ukrainian counteroffensive. Of course, it has not been officially declared, but there is major fighting happening now where Ukrainian armored divisions are seeking to, penetrate Russian defensive lines around Zaporizhzhia. And so the long-awaited Ukrainian counteroffensive has certainly begun.
How does the dam relate to the Nord Stream pipeline? Because these are both situations where people are like, who actually did it? What's their motivation? And let's face it, these are chaotic actors at times. And figuring out who has the motivation to do these things seems like a leveling up kind of game because you can't put it past either party in some cases. But in the case of Nord Stream, people saying, hey, it was the Ukraine, but then there's this argument that the Ukraine's not capable of doing it, or maybe it was sanctioned by the US or the West and then executed by Ukraine. Where do you wind up with all these?
So on Nord Stream, we're now on our third cover story. The CIA sourcing their stenographers at the Washington Post have now claimed that it was 6 Ukrainian dudes in a yacht who blew up Nord Stream. No, seriously. And if you look at this boat, I'll put a photo of the boat on the screen. It's pretty silly. The Ukrainians do not have a Navy, and they certainly don't have Navy SEALs. I don't believe they have the capability to. By the way, this destruction of Nord Stream was this huge underwater steel and concrete structure.
It's not that deep, though, because it's only 150 or 200 feet deep at the lower points.
It's deep enough, and it took a lot of explosives, so they had to know what they were doing. So
I dove 120 feet once, so it's
But
not
the point
that deep.
is that when Nord Stream was first destroyed, the media rushed out to say, well, the Russians did it, even though the Russians had no motive to do it. It was their own pipeline. It's their pipeline. They could just turn it off if they wanted to. But this is what we hear, is that every time something destructive happens, it's the Russians did it. Why would they attack themselves? Because they're so crazy. We heard this with Nord Stream. When Belgorod, which is a Russian district just across the border from Ukraine, was attacked, it was claimed that the Russians did it. These were Russian insurgents. No, that's pretty silly. It was Ukrainians dressed in Russian uniforms. And just recently, when there were drone attacks on Moscow, we were also told that, it wasn't the Ukrainians who did it. It was Russian dissidents or something, which again makes no sense. So this is not to say that the Russians didn't blow up that dam. It's just to say that whenever the story is rushed out that the Russians did something highly destructive, we need to see some evidence here, and we just don't know.
It's just hard to know. The fog of war is thick. All right. What did you think of Tucker's first show?
It's incredible.
He's getting sued, but the tweet got at least like 90 million views, which means the video probably got 10% of that or something. So probably 10 million
I think the video
views.
yesterday was at 17 million views or something like that. So I'm sure it's more today. So no, he's getting huge distribution through Twitter. Arguably, it's more distribution. It's almost certainly more distribution than he got through Fox.
Fox was 3 million, right? That's how many viewers he gets on Fox.
Yeah, well, Fox is half of that now because they've attributed so much viewership after Tucker left. But look, the only thing that I think Tucker got through Fox was access to, frankly, a viewership base that's not very online. There are a lot of old people who watch Fox who just aren't on social media. That's it, though. Everybody else can see it on Twitter, and he's getting more distribution on Twitter.
Super distribution is the way to go. He's going to get 25 million people. Of course, monetizing it is the hard part because Fox is subscription revenue, and everything else is
Yeah,
advertising.
but apparently he's creating a list. He advertised the website tuckercarlson.com at the end of his video, and you can go there and sign up for.
You can subscribe direct and get it on his website.
Well, I don't think he's monetizing it yet, but you can sign up for alerts and so forth. So he's clearly creating a list of some kind.
That's probably because with his contract, he's still getting paid. And so he's like, Daily Wire is the model. I mean, they have got well over 100 million in revenue, I understand, and they have a massive subscription business. So there's a clear path there. All right. Hey, listen, for the world's greatest moderator living in the Bay Area, DavidFriedberg, and the dictator himself, ChamathPalihapitiya, and the architect hosting any number of fundraisers for any number of politicians, DavidSacks, the Rain Man. I am the world's greatest moderator taking a week off. We'll see you next week. Oh, and enjoy some Q&A here from the live Angels Summit. 100 people in Napa. Thanks for coming, besties. I appreciate you
Love you, boys.
Supporting the event. Love you, besties. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.